Beloved chosen one, pause for a moment. Heaven pauses with you. This Christmas is not just another turning of the calendar. It is the season when the unseen realms tilt their gaze toward those who never broke, the ones who cried quietly, who held on when everything else fell apart. You are one of them. You were not forgotten, not once. The silence around your prayers was not neglect, it was incubation. Every unanswered cry was being shaped into a divine revelation. Listen carefully. Heaven saw the nights you pretended to be fine. Heaven heard the prayers you whispered into your pillow. You thought no one noticed, but the one who numbers the stars also numbered your tears. While the world celebrated without seeing your pain, Heaven was setting the stage for your unveiling on this Christmas. Heaven whispers, you were never invisible. There is a sacred beauty in your endurance. Every storm you endured became a sermon of strength. Every heartbreak carried a seed of holiness. You didn't break because you were built for endurance. You were chosen to stand when others bowed, to shine when others dimmed. The pain didn't destroy you, it revealed the unbreakable core of who you are. You didn't just survive, you were refined. The voice of the Spirit moves like wind through December's stillness, saying, your waiting has not been wasted. You have been trained in silence for a moment of sound, prepared in hiddenness for a moment of revealing. And now, the heavens are declaring over you that the waiting season is ending. You will see the purpose behind every delay, every tear, every night you thought you wouldn't make it through. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. That is the promise written over your life this Christmas. You are the eagle rising above the storm. You are the testimony wrapped in human form. When you were breaking, God was building. When you were weeping, heaven was writing. There has never been a tear wasted, never a trial unseen. You have not been overlooked, you have been preserved. Chosen one, you were not meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, not for applause, but for purpose. That's why rejection came. That's why betrayal stung. That's why loneliness became your classroom. Every disappointment became divine training. God did not allow pain to destroy you. He allowed it to define you. You were being prepared for a throne you didn't even know existed yet. And now heaven leans close. Can you feel it? The stillness of the night before breakthrough, the quiet hum of angels preparing the announcement of your rising heaven is about to echo your name again. What once looked like defeat is about to become your divine unveiling. This Christmas, the ones who never broke are about to see why they had to be pressed but not crushed, struck down but not destroyed. This message finds you not by chance, but by design. Heaven pressed pause on your timeline to remind you your story is not over. It's entering the chapter of revelation. You will soon understand that what looked like loss was actually preservation. The delay was divine protection. You were being hidden until the right season, and the right season has arrived. You've carried the weight of silence for so long that you forgot what it feels like to breathe freely. But heaven says, breathe again. This Christmas, peace returns to you. Joy finds you again, and hope, that old friend you thought had left for good, stands knocking at your heart's door once more. Chosen one. It's not coincidence that you are reading these words right now. It's divine alignment. Heaven waited until this very moment to tell you your endurance has not gone unnoticed. The same God who kept you alive through the valley is about to lift you to the mountaintop of visibility. This is your reminder that what God begins, He finishes. and he began something powerful in you. So this Christmas, lift your head. The tears that once blurred your vision are clearing now. Your heart, once heavy, is about to overflow with joy again. Heaven has recorded your endurance as worship. You were seen in your silence. You were heard in your pain. And now, you are being chosen for your unveiling. If these words reach your spirit, take a moment to act in faith. Like, share, or comment to say, I receive my Christmas confirmation, not for the algorithm, but as a prophetic declaration that you are ready to rise into your divine season. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because this is only the beginning of your unfolding. Heaven is still speaking, and the next word carries even greater revelation for you. Beloved, remember this truth as the night settles. Heaven pauses for those who never broke. You are one of them. Your pain was seen. Your endurance was recorded, and this Christmas, your name is being whispered in heaven again with love, with honor, with divine recognition. You remember the night you almost gave up? The night when faith felt like a fading ember, when your strength was too fragile to carry another sunrise. The walls of your room closed in around you, and silence grew so loud it echoed. No one saw the depth of that darkness, but heaven did. That moment you whispered, I can't do this anymore, was the same moment heaven whispered back, you won't have to alone. There was a battle over your breath that night. The enemy wanted to silence your purpose before it matured, to make you believe that your pain was proof of abandonment. But you were never abandoned. You were being guarded. The same God who hung stars in the sky was holding you through every invisible breakdown. When the world saw nothing, heaven was watching everything. You stood on the edge of surrender, trembling and tired. Yet something holy pulled you back. It wasn't luck, it wasn't willpower, it was divine intervention. That invisible strength that rose within you was the breath of God reminding you that your life was not over, that your story still had pages left to turn. You see, there are nights that separate those who are chosen from those who are merely existing. You've lived one of those nights, the kind where everything inside you collapses, and all that remains is a whisper of hope too small to name. And yet, even that whisper was enough. Heaven heard it, caught it, and began writing redemption around it. There is something sacred about the night you almost gave up, because that night became the altar where your old self died, and your anointed self was born. You didn't know it then, but you were crossing from survival into destiny. The enemy thought the darkness would drown you, but instead, it baptized you into divine strength. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, the chapter 34, verse 18, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Those words were not written as poetry. They were written as prophecy over souls like yours. The ones who break quietly but rise boldly. The ones who are crushed but not destroyed. That night, when no one came to rescue you, the Lord Himself drew near. He didn't shout from the heavens. He whispered into your heart. He didn't pull you out of the fire immediately. He sat with you in the flames until you remembered who you were. Chosen one. That was not weakness, it was rebirth. When you thought you were losing everything, heaven was stripping away what could no longer go with you. The pain that tried to bury you became the very soil that your new strength grew from. The tears you cried were the baptismal waters of your next chapter. Every breakdown was a holy doorway. You didn't know it then, but you were being preserved for the prophecy attached to your name. God saw the future moments you'd stand strong, speak truth, and carry light into dark places. That's why He wouldn't let you die in that night of despair. That's why He refused to let you surrender. Because your survival was not for you alone, it was for others who would need your story later. Every breath you took after that night became a defiance against darkness. You may not have realized it, but angels were dispatched around your room. They stood guard while you wept, ensuring that despair would not have the final word. And in the unseen, heaven recorded that moment as victory, not because you shouted, not because you danced, but because you stayed. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not worship in the light, but breathing in the dark. That night, you did both. You breathed, you stayed, you lived, and heaven called that obedience. So remember this: what you felt as an ending was really the first verse of your redemption song. You are walking proof that light cannot be extinguished, even in the deepest night. When you almost gave up, heaven marked that date not as your failure, but as your commissioning. From that moment on, the heavens regarded you differently. You were no longer just surviving, you were chosen. And though the world will never know the full weight of that night, heaven celebrates it. Because from that night forward, your life became a testimony that endurance is holy, that broken hearts still beat with divine rhythm, and that even in the silence, God is not absent, He is near, closer than breath, closer than the next heartbeat. Now, every December, heaven looks upon those who nearly gave up but didn't and calls them warriors of the night. You are one of them. You carry proof that grace is stronger than despair, and that divine purpose will always outlast pain. That is why this Christmas carries a different sound in the spirit. It isn't just carols or bells, it's the echo of heaven remembering your midnight battle and declaring the one who almost broke has become unbreakable. There was a season when the light stayed hidden. You remember at the time when prayers felt like they vanished into the ceiling, when your worship echoed back in silence. You searched for signs, but heaven seemed still. You wondered if perhaps God had changed His mind about you. Yet that very silence was His language. The hiddenness was not punishment, it was protection. The truth is, chosen one, the light was never gone. It was simply veiled until you were ready to carry it without pride, without fear, without the need for validation. God does not hide the light to hurt you. He hides it to strengthen you. Every moment of stillness became a sacred training ground. Every unanswered prayer became a lesson in endurance. You were learning how to see without sight, to trust without evidence, to walk when nothing made sense. That was the furnace of faith, and you survived it. The quiet seasons shaped your discernment. They taught you to recognize the voice of God not by noise, but by knowing. You stopped chasing confirmation and started walking in conviction. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah in chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." You didn't see those plans unfolding, but heaven did. Every delay was divine timing. Every detour was a shield. When the light seemed lost, it was simply repositioning. Sometimes God hides His glory in darkness so you can learn to glow from within. You wanted a spotlight. He wanted to give you a lamp that cannot be extinguished. In those hidden days, you questioned your worth. You compared your journey to others, wondering why their paths seemed clearer, their blessings louder. But you weren't being overlooked, you were being overprepared. You were being built in secret so that when your moment of revealing arrived, no one could take credit but God. It's easy to praise when everything shines, but heaven pays attention to those who still whisper, "I trust you," in the shadows. That's what you did. You kept showing up when nothing made sense. You kept loving when love wasn't returned. You kept believing when belief hurt. That is faith in its purest form, not faith for miracles, but faith through silence. You must understand. Chosen one, Hidden seasons are not wasted seasons, and they are sacred wombs where destiny is nurtured. When a seed is planted, it disappears under the soil, buried in darkness. Yet in that hidden place, transformation begins. Roots grow before branches ever appear. God had to bury you before he could bloom you. That's why the silence felt suffocating. It wasn't the absence of life, it was the birth of it. Heaven was cultivating depth within you. The surface looked empty, but the unseen realm was alive with divine activity. Angels were moving, promises were aligning, purpose was preparing to emerge. Now, as this Christmas approaches, you'll begin to see why God hid your light for a time. You weren't ready to shine. You were being refined to carry something that lasts. The light that is about to emerge from your life is not fragile, it's forged. It has survived storms, betrayal, waiting, and the weight of unanswered questions. So when others see you shining now, they'll have no idea what it cost. But heaven knows. The light that stayed hidden is about to be revealed not as a flicker, but as a flame. And the darkness that once surrounded you will now become the stage for your illumination. That's why this message meets you here not as comfort, but as confirmation. You have graduated from the hidden season. The stillness is breaking. The silence is shifting. Heaven is turning up the brightness around your name. Take a deep breath and say it softly. The light was never gone. You've carried it all along. It was just waiting for the right time to be seen. If these words resonate deep within you, act in faith and comment, "I still shine." Let it be more than words. Let it be your declaration. You are testifying that the darkness didn't win, that you still carry light, that the hidden season did not bury you, it built you. When you comment those 3 words, you're not just interacting, you're aligning. You're marking this moment in heaven's record as the day you recognized your light again. The day you stopped mourning the silence and started celebrating the unseen hand of God that kept you through it all. You are walking proof that hidden does not mean forgotten, and silence does not mean abandoned. The God who seemed quiet was actually crafting your crown. And now that crown is beginning to glimmer in the light of a new dawn. So, chosen one, walk forward not with fear but with fire. The season of hiding is over. The season of shining begins. The light never left you. It was simply waiting for the right moment to rise again. There are things the world never saw, the nights you cried quietly into the dark, the prayers that had no words, only trembling breath. There were moments when pain was too deep for language, when you could only sit in stillness and let tears become your only form of worship. But do not be mistaken. Chosen one. Those tears were not wasted. Every single one was seen, gathered, and remembered. You may have thought you were alone in those moments, but heaven was near, closer than the air that held your sighs. The angels took note of every tear that fell. The one who created oceans was counting each drop that escaped your weary eyes. The sorrow that tried to drown you became the evidence of your endurance. Pain was not the proof of abandonment, it was the mark of divine attention. Your tears became messages that reached God's throne faster than words ever could. Every tear carried a meaning, a cry, a memory. Heaven did not overlook them. Heaven recorded them. When you wept, the earth saw weakness, but heaven saw worship. The trembling of your heart was not a breakdown, it was an offering. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. What a staggering truth that not one tear slipped unnoticed through eternity. Heaven keeps a record of what earth tries to erase. When others turned away, the divine leaned in closer. When you felt unseen, you were being studied by love itself. Your tears were never a sign of defeat. They were proof of your humanity wrapped in divine resilience. God saw them fall in secret and said, "I will use even this." Each tear became a seed in the soil of your future joy. You will harvest what you cried for. You will see fruit where you once saw only pain. It's hard to believe sometimes, isn't it, that pain could carry purpose, that tears could become holy instruments? Yet look at your journey. The moments that broke you most deeply have become the very foundations of your strength. What once crushed you now fuels your compassion. What once silenced you now gives power to your voice. You have become a living testimony that tears are not weakness. They are sacred ink with which heaven writes redemption. Every tear you shed was an act of faith you kept feeling. Even when feeling hurt, you refused to harden, refused to become numb. And that is rare. Chosen one. That softness in your spirit, that ability to weep and still believe, is what sets you apart. God never asked you to hide your pain. He asked you to trust Him with it, to hand over the ache, the confusion, the heartbreak, and let Him transform it. Every tear cried in surrender becomes a prayer that will not go unanswered. In heaven's timing, sorrow is always exchanged for strength. So when you remember those nights of tears, don't see shame, see sacred history. That was the place where God met you most honestly. You didn't have to pretend. You didn't have to impress. You simply existed, and He loved you there. Your tears told the truth your lips were too tired to speak. And God heard it all, even now. There are blessings in motion that trace back to those moments. Every tear carried a spiritual request, even when you didn't know what to ask for. Heaven translated your cries into divine action. You may not see the answers yet, but they are already forming. The same hands that counted your tears are now preparing to crown you with joy. When the scripture says that your tears are collected in a bottle, it means something eternal. They are preserved as evidence that you endured. Someday, those bottles of sorrow will be poured out as rivers of restoration. The joy that comes after deep pain is always richer, fuller, more radiant, because it carries memory, it knows the cost. And that is what makes your story holy. You didn't numb yourself to survive. You felt everything and still believed. You kept your heart tender in a world that grows harder every day. You chose empathy over bitterness, forgiveness over revenge, worship over silence. That's why heaven honors your name, chosen one. Your tears wrote psalms that the world will one day sing. They are the melody of endurance, the anthem of unseen warriors who kept faith alive through pain. And even now, heaven reads those psalms and smiles, because they know the ending. You will not cry forever. The bottle will be emptied, and the book that holds your tears will one day close with the words, "It was worth it." Until that day, remember this: every tear you shed was seen, counted, and treasured. You were never alone in the crying. The God who counts your tears is the same God who will one day wipe them away. And that day is coming sooner than you think. There are treasures heaven hides until the right hearts are ready to receive them. You, chosen one, are standing at the threshold of one of those unveilings. This Christmas is not just about lights and gifts, it is about divine recompense. The reward for those who have endured in silence is being released. Heaven has seen your secret labor, your quiet loyalty, your faithfulness when no one applauded. The heavens are opening with the weight of stored blessings that have been waiting for your readiness. You see, the currency of heaven is not gold or silver, it is endurance, faith, and love through fire. You've paid with every sleepless night and every unseen act of goodness. Nothing has been lost. Every silent yes, every whispered "I still trust you" was an investment in eternity's vault. And now, that vault is unlocking, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 18. The wicked person earns deceptive wages, but the one who sows righteousness reaps a sure reward. You have sown righteousness, even when it cost you comfort. You've chosen to bless when you could have cursed, to forgive when you could have fought back. That is why your harvest will be unlike anything you've imagined. The field you watered with tears will soon bloom with joy. The ground that seemed barren will overflow with life. This reward isn't only material, it's spiritual, a peace that can't be bought, a joy that can't be shaken. You are being crowned with contentment. Heaven's eyes are turning toward those who never gave up when no one was watching. You are part of that remnant. You are part of the ones who stayed. Imagine for a moment a candle placed on a windowsill during a storm. The wind beats against it. The rain tries to drown it, yet it keeps burning. That was you, steady, quiet, unwavering. Heaven saw that flame. And now the keeper of light himself is about to breathe new oil into your lamp. This is why, even in this moment, you can sense the shift like morning approaching after a long night. The heaviness you carried is lifting. The invisible weight is dissolving. You are being rewarded not for perfection, but for persistence. Heaven calls you faithful, and that title can never be stripped away. Sometimes, God's rewards don't fall suddenly. They unfold, like sunrise spreading across the horizon. Grace will move gradually across your life until you are completely surrounded by light. You'll wake one morning and realize the ache has turned into awe, the waiting into wonder. There is beauty in this exchange. You gave heaven your pain, and heaven gives you purpose. You surrendered tears, and heaven returns joy. You carried burdens, and heaven lays blessings in your arms. The scales of justice tilt in your favor now, not because you demanded it, but because you endured quietly. Beloved, as you hear these words, let your heart open with gratitude. And if this message speaks deeply to your spirit, I invite you gently and sincerely to help this flame reach others who are still sitting in the dark. Like a traveler lighting another's lamp, you can pass the fire forward. Like, share, or subscribe if you feel led, not out of obligation but out of overflow. When you do, you become part of heaven's ripple effect, one small act that can light up another weary soul. And if you ever felt the desire to give, to pour back into the stream that refreshes you, know that your generosity is like planting seeds in fertile soil. Every contribution, every gift, becomes another branch growing from this tree of light. It isn't payment, it's partnership. You're helping to send hope where despair still lingers. You're turning your own reward into someone else's rescue. Think of it like this: the river that flows freely never runs dry. When water gives itself away, it multiplies. When you release something, heaven refills you in ways you can't imagine. Giving is not loss, it's circulation. Love moves like blood through the body of Christ. It only lives when it flows. So, chosen one, if your heart feels that gentle nudge, let your hand follow. Whether it's a like, a share, a subscription, or a donation, it's your way of saying, I want this light to keep shining. And heaven honors that posture, because when you bless what blessed you, you tell God, I see the value of what you've placed before me. You are not just a listener, you are a carrier of this message. You are part of the divine relay passing the torch of faith, endurance, and divine hope. The same comfort that found you here will flow through you to others. Remember this truth: heaven never forgets a giver. Every time you share, every time you sow, every time you encourage another soul, you are echoing the heart of God. The reward that is unfolding for you isn't just about restoration, it's about multiplication. Your joy will multiply, your influence will expand, your light will stretch further than you can see as the year folds into its final days. Step into this divine exchange with open hands. Receive the reward of endurance, and if your spirit stirs, release a blessing back into the flow. Together, we create a constellation of lights across the earth, each one testifying that the ones who endured in silence are now shining in glory. Heaven has stored your treasure. Now heaven begins to release it. There are wars you never saw, battles fought in dimensions beyond sight. You felt their echo in your emotions, the sudden heaviness, the strange opposition, the waves of discouragement that seemed to appear from nowhere. Those weren't coincidences, they were collisions between light and darkness over your life. The unseen realm has known your name far longer than you have. You, chosen one, have been marked by heaven and threatened by hell. There is a reason the warfare around you has been so intense. It wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were significant. Darkness never wastes its energy on what poses no threat. Every storm that hit you was strategic, an attempt to break your voice before it could carry power. But every attack that failed became evidence that you are covered. Every assault only proved the strength of what you carry. When the attacks came through people, through confusion, through exhaustion, you wondered, why me but in heaven's courts? The answer resounds because your light was dangerous. Your endurance terrified what sought to silence you. The enemy saw in you what you couldn't yet see in yourself: a torchbearer, a breaker of chains, a soul that could ignite faith in others. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 4. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory. That truth has been alive around you even when you didn't feel it. God himself fought beside you. He didn't remove every battle. He stood inside them with you. You thought you were losing strength, but in reality, he was transferring his strength into your spirit. Every fight became fuel. Every struggle another layer of armor. You are not fragile, though pain has tried to convince you otherwise. You are forged. Heaven doesn't send glass into the fire, it sends gold. The flames didn't destroy you. They revealed your purity. You have become a weapon of light in a world that desperately needs clarity. Sometimes warfare looks ordinary. It comes as delay, distraction, emotional numbness. It comes through voices that tell you you're not enough. Yet behind those moments is a coordinated resistance trying to make you forget who you are. Every time you've chosen to get up again, to pray again, to believe again, you've won another invisible battle. Do you remember those times when you almost quit praying because nothing seemed to change? Heaven recorded those moments as victories. Because warfare isn't about noise, it's about persistence. The greatest warriors are the quiet ones who keep standing when everything tells them to fall. The enemy has thrown confusion, fear, and shame your way, but none of it stuck. The arrows broke before they could pierce you. And what they didn't know was that with every impact, you were becoming more dangerous. Every hit taught you discernment. Every lie taught you truth. Every attack built a shield of revelation around your heart. Now you carry a wisdom born of war. You no longer panic when storms rise, because you know how they end with you still standing. You've learned to recognize the rhythm of divine strategy. God allows conflict not to destroy, but to strengthen. It's in warfare that faith becomes muscle. Chosen one, this Christmas, heaven wants you to see yourself differently, not as a survivor, but as a soldier. Not as one barely making it, but as one who has already conquered more than you know. You walk with invisible medals of valor on your soul. You bear the marks of someone trusted with resistance. The unseen realm knows it too. That's why the atmosphere around you has begun to shift. You've crossed a spiritual threshold. Your very presence disrupts darkness now. The things that used to shake you now tremble at you. You are walking evidence that divine power still reigns in human hearts. And if you feel this truth burning in you, if you sense that this message is speaking directly to your spirit, then take a simple prophetic step. Comment 444. Let that number be your banner of victory, your declaration that you have not been defeated. 4 is the number of stability, of foundation, of divine order. You are declaring that your house, your heart, your destiny are now aligned with heaven's unshakable order. When you type those 3 digits, you're not just leaving a comment, you're drawing a line in the sand. You're saying, no more retreat. You're affirming that the warfare has shaped you, not shattered you. That the same God who fought beside you continues to lead you forward. Remember, the light that terrifies darkness is not loud, it is steadfast. It doesn't need to shout, it simply shines. And your light, chosen one, has been burning steadily even through the storms. The darkness knows it. Heaven celebrates it. And now, this Christmas, the rewards of endurance are beginning to unfold. You are not the same as you were when this year began. You are sharper, stronger, wiser, more spiritually aware. You are the living proof that unseen battles still produce seen victories. And soon, the world will witness the results of everything you've overcome in silence. The unseen battle around your name was fierce, but it was not final. You stand now on holy ground victorious, radiant, unbroken, and all of heaven smiles, whispering, they made it. There is something sacred about endurance, not the kind that shouts its strength to be admired, but the kind that endures quietly, faithfully, unseen. You have walked through seasons that required you to hold your ground when everything inside you wanted to run. You have carried pain that others could not have survived, and yet you kept walking. That is endurance, not loud, not glamorous, but holy. The world measures strength by success. Heaven measures it by stamina. Anyone can stand when the sun is out, but only the chosen can stand when night never seems to end. You, chosen one, are one of those who endured not because you had answers, but because you had faith. You didn't understand the plan, yet you refused to let go of the hand guiding you through it. There were nights when your prayers sounded like questions, days when your silence became your only language. But even then, heaven was near, shaping something within you that no storm could destroy. That is the mystery of endurance. It does not change the storm. It changes the soul. You have carried something divine in your persistence. While others looked for escape, you found purpose in remaining. That endurance became your mantle. It is not merely strength, it is authority. You have walked through the valley and learned the rhythm of heaven's patience. You have waited long enough to see that even pain has prophecy in it. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 5, verses 3 and 4. Still echo today. We glory in tribulations, also knowing that tribulation produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Every hardship you faced refined you. Every heartbreak stripped away illusions and revealed what was eternal within you. You have been pressed, but the pressing only drew out purity. You have been delayed, But the delay only deepened your roots. What others see as a survivor, heaven sees as a soldier steady, seasoned, and anointed by endurance. There is a power in staying. The mantle you now carry is not given to the restless, but to the rooted. You learned to bloom where you were planted, even when the soil felt dry. You didn't run from the drought, you waited for the rain. That patience has become a fragrance heaven recognizes. Sometimes endurance looks like quiet faithfulness showing up again, believing again, loving again. Even when you feel nothing, it's not dramatic, it's not rewarded immediately, but it builds a foundation no storm can move. That is what has been happening within you. Every act of obedience in the dark was laying stone upon stone for the structure God is about to reveal through your life. You may not have noticed, but people have begun to feel something different when they're near you. They sense peace, not because your life is easy, but because your spirit is anchored. You have become a living sermon of hope. Without saying a word, you testify that grace is real, that healing is possible, that faith is stronger than fear. Endurance has made you luminous in ways you cannot yet see. It gave you spiritual eyes to recognize true value, to discern what's eternal from what's temporary. You no longer chase validation. You carry vision. You no longer panic in waiting. You understand divine timing. This is the mark of the mantle upon you. You've walked through fire, but the fire didn't consume you, it consecrated you. You've been misunderstood, but the misunderstanding trained you to listen to heaven more than human voices. You've been betrayed, but even betrayal became a tutor, teaching you compassion for the broken. You've learned that those who endure are not hardened by pain, they're softened for purpose. Your endurance is not only for you, it becomes a covering for others. The same strength that sustained you will soon flow through your words, your presence, your prayer. Those who come near you will feel peace because you have walked through what they are still afraid to face. That is how heaven multiplies endurance. It turns survivors into sources. When God looks at you, he does not see exhaustion. He sees evidence. You are proof that faith outlasts fear, that love survives loss, that hope resurrects after heartbreak. This mantle you wear is invisible to most, but undeniable to heaven. It shines through your humility, your consistency, your quiet courage. And one day soon, what you carried privately will be recognized publicly. Not for your glory, but for God's. The world will call it resilience. Heaven calls it legacy. The mantle of endurance you now bear is not light, but it fits you perfectly. Forged by the weight of what you've overcome. You are not defined by what tried to break you. You are defined by the fact that it didn't. You've proven that faith is not fragile, it is fireproof. You carry the calm of those who have seen storms and survived them. You have become what few ever become: steadfast, immovable, and divinely marked by endurance. There comes a moment in every story when pain and purpose meet, and everything that once hurt begins to make sense. For you, chosen one, that moment draws near. The very season that used to weigh you down is becoming your elevation point. The very memories that used to ache are turning into altars of glory. Christmas for you is no longer about what you lost, it's about what you're being crowned with. The heavens do not waste sorrow. God transforms every wound into a window, every scar into a seal of authority. You've walked through loss, betrayal, disappointment, and silence, yet none of it was random. Every experience carried a hidden assignment to shape the royal within you. This is why the pain was precise. The fire knew where to burn and where to refine. You see, in heaven's order, crowns are never given without crosses. Before glory comes weight. Before authority comes affliction. You were never being punished, you were being prepared. The same hands that allowed the breaking are the hands now placing the crown. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 10, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You suffered not because you were wrong, but because you were right." Your light disturbed the comfortable darkness around others. Your purity became a mirror, and not everyone could handle the reflection. But heaven saw the injustice. Heaven took note of every false word, every quiet rejection, every time you chose forgiveness over revenge. You were qualifying for something eternal. And now, that crown is being fitted to your soul. It is not made of gold or silver, but of endurance, humility, and glory. It is invisible to the world, but radiant in the spirit. Angels recognize it instantly. They see the glow of someone who has wrestled with pain and chosen peace. There is a beautiful reversal happening. What once brought you to your knees will soon lift you to your throne. The tears that once fell in despair will soon fall in worship. You will look back at this journey and see that every valley was a staircase carved by divine design. The exchange that happens at the altar of pain is sacred. You offer God your ashes, and He places beauty in your hands. You bring your disappointments, and He hands you destiny. You lay down your wounds, and He returns them as wisdom. Every heartbreak was a classroom, every delay a training ground. The crown you wear now has been forged from your endurance. You might not even feel it yet, but heaven already sees you as enthroned. Your life has shifted dimensions. You've moved from survival to stewardship, from pain to purpose. You've become the living embodiment of Romans 8:28, that all things, even the cruel and confusing ones, are working together for good. In this season, the Spirit whispers. The mourning has ended, the crowning begins. The weight on your shoulders is transforming into something holy. The very posture that once felt like defeat, your bowed head, is now the perfect position for coronation. Heaven crowns those who bow. So when you see others laughing, celebrating, and you feel a quiet ache because your journey has been heavier, remember this: the deeper the valley, the higher the rise. Your story needed depth so your joy could have roots. Shallow victories fade fast, but the glory of those who have suffered deeply never dims. This is why heaven calls you royal, not because of your status, but because of your scars. Your crown was shaped by compassion. You know the cost of grace, and you carry it gently. That's why your reign won't be prideful, it will be healing. Your presence will soothe the broken because you've been where they are. Your words will carry power because they've been born from pain. The world crowns people for their achievements. God crowns people for their endurance. And yours has been divine. You have proven trustworthy in trials, and heaven trusts you with influence. Not the influence of applause, but the influence of anointing, the kind that shifts atmospheres, heals hearts, and revives hope. So, chosen one, this Christmas is not about decoration, it's about transformation. You stand in the holy exchange between heartbreak and honor. You are receiving your invisible crown, the sign that heaven approves, that your season of testing has become your season of triumph. And though no trumpet sounds and no crowd applauds, heaven celebrates wildly. The angels rejoice because you made it through what should have broken you. They sing your name in gratitude to the one who kept you standing. Your crown glows not above your head, but from within your spirit. It cannot be taken, tarnished, or traded. It is yours forever because it was bought with tears, patience, and unwavering faith. For too long, you've watched others rise while you stayed hidden. You've seen people celebrated while your faithfulness went unnoticed. You've done good quietly, held steady, prayed for others even when no one prayed for you. It's easy to feel forgotten in that space, to believe that maybe heaven overlooked your name. But hear this clearly. Chosen one. God never forgets those who serve in silence. Heaven's timing is rarely loud, but it is always exact. What felt like delay was divine orchestration. Every closed door was a redirection. Every forgotten moment was a seed buried in time. And now, in this sacred season, heaven begins to whisper your name again this time, not in secret, but in sound. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 2, verse 12. If we endure, we will also reign with him. You see, the forgotten are being remembered. The ones who stayed faithful when no one clapped, when no one cared, when no one noticed, they are the ones heaven is bringing forward now. The tables are turning. The spotlight of heaven is shifting to those who never sought it. You didn't chase recognition, you chased righteousness. And that is why you are next in line for revelation. There is a beauty to being overlooked. It protected you. God hid you while he was perfecting you. He allowed obscurity to mature your spirit, to keep your motives pure, to prepare you for influence that won't destroy you. When your time comes, and it is coming, you will not rise in pride, but in purpose. You will shine, not for validation, but for transformation. Every overlooked moment trained your heart to value what truly matters. You learned that applause fades, but anointing remains. You learned that promotion without purpose is poison. And now, you are ready for what God is about to place in your hands. This is the season when divine memory awakens. Heaven is calling names that the world ignored. The overlooked ones, the caregivers, the intercessors, the dreamers who held visions through heartbreak are being summoned into visibility. You are part of that awakening. The trumpet of recognition is sounding softly in the spirit, and your name is among those it carries. Don't let comparison steal your joy. You are not late. You are right on time. The pace of your journey has been divinely measured. Others were running on their own will. You were walking by divine rhythm. That's why your results will last. What is birthed in silence cannot be easily shaken. Think of Joseph, forgotten in prison, yet remembered in a single moment. One divine mention shifted his entire destiny. That same pattern is weaving through your story now. The years of obscurity are collapsing into sudden remembrance. What took others decades will come to you in divine acceleration. And when it happens, remember this: your recognition is not about ego, it's about impact. God will place your voice, your gift, your testimony in places where light has been absent. You will speak words that unlock chains. You will stand in spaces where others once ignored you and bring the very healing they lacked. You have been through the fire, and now heaven can trust you with the flame. You've been tested in humility, and now heaven can trust you with honor. The ones who forgot you will see that you were never forsaken. You were hidden until heaven said, "Now." If this message stirs something inside you, if you feel that quiet confirmation in your spirit that your name is being remembered, then take a step of faith and comment, "I'm seen." Do it not for attention, but as a prophetic declaration. Those two words mean more than you realize. You are agreeing with heaven's verdict that you are no longer invisible, no longer overlooked. You are acknowledging that divine remembrance has found your name. When you type those words, you're not just writing, you're aligning. You're saying, "I know heaven sees me, even when others don't." Every "I'm seen" written in faith becomes a spiritual echo. It's heaven's roll call of the faithful, a declaration that the season of hiding has ended. You are stepping into divine visibility, not for fame, but for function. So stand tall, chosen one. You've been refined by patience, tempered by obscurity, and prepared by pain. Your humility has become your crown, and your consistency has become your anointing. What once made you feel forgotten has become your qualification for remembrance. The forgotten are being remembered. The silent are being spoken of. The humble are being lifted. And you, yes, you are part of that holy unveiling. Heaven has not overlooked you. Heaven has been preparing you for this exact moment. The world may have turned its head away, but heaven never blinked. Your name is being spoken again, not in pity, but in purpose. Not in secrecy, but in celebration. The forgotten are being remembered, and among them stands you steady, radiant, chosen. There is a moment between years, a breath of time when heaven seems to pause and watch who is listening. That moment is now the turning of the year gate. The air shifts, the atmosphere stirs, and unseen doors begin to creak open. You can almost feel it, the pull between what has been and what is about to be. The ending is not a wall, it is a doorway. As one year exhales and another inhales, heaven invites you to step across the threshold with awareness. You are not walking into a repeat of what was, you are walking into what has been waiting. There are promises tied to your obedience, opportunities attached to your yes. The old year carried weight, but this new one carries wings. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay." You've been waiting for what feels like forever, but heaven's clock never runs late. The appointed time is dawning, and the year ahead is the field where your seeds will finally rise. The ground beneath your feet is holy with promise. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every sacrifice is about to speak on your behalf. When a gate opens, the wise walk through it intentionally. So take a deep breath, chosen one, and look behind you one last time, not in regret, but in reverence. The pain that tried to crush you became your foundation. The tears that fell became water for your future harvest. You are not leaving failure behind, you are leaving fertilizer. Imagine this moment like a sunrise. The horizon is still dark, but the edge of light is already visible. The first rays touch the earth gently, and the shadows begin to retreat. That's your life right now. Light is stretching toward you. The things that made no sense in the dark will soon be radiant with purpose. As you step through this gate of transition, let gratitude be your offering. The past year didn't destroy you, it developed you. The lessons were heavy, yes, but they built muscles in your spirit that you didn't know you had. Every disappointment became a teacher. Every ending made space for a beginning. And now, the path before you is clear. Though still wrapped in mystery, heaven rarely shows the entire map, it shows the next step. That's all faith ever needs. The next step, taken with trust, becomes a bridge to miracles. Chosen one. This is where your faith becomes motion. The gate doesn't open forever, it waits for movement. Don't just watch the horizon, walk toward it. Don't just dream about breakthrough, step into it. You are not who you were 12 months ago. You are wiser, deeper, stronger. You carry insight that came from endurance. This next chapter requires your movement, your participation, your yes. And as you walk, know this: the path you travel is not just for you. There are souls attached to your obedience, hearts waiting for the light you carry. Your yes creates ripples in eternity. You might not see them now, but they travel farther than sound. That's why, in this moment of crossing, I want to invite you gently and sincerely to partner with the light. If this message has touched your spirit, if it's been a voice in your wilderness, then help it reach others who still stand at the gate unsure of what's next. Like, share, or subscribe not as ritual but as reverence. Each click becomes a spark that lights another path. And if your heart feels led to sow a gift, a donation, an offering, know that your seed is not about transaction, it's about transformation. You're not funding words, you're fueling awakening. Every seed sown into light multiplies light. Think of it like a lantern in a long tunnel. The more oil you pour in, the further the flame can travel. Your giving keeps the fire alive for souls who still wander in shadow. Perhaps this year, your generosity will be the bridge someone else crosses to find hope again. That's what your participation does. It doesn't just support, it saves. You become part of heaven's quiet miracle network. You become the hands that carry light into unseen places. You don't have to give much just from the heart. Even a small ember, when placed in the right wind, can start a wildfire of grace. When you share, when you sow, when you stand with this message, you're telling heaven, I want this fire to keep burning. As the clock moves toward the new year, remember, gates respond to gratitude and faith. Lift your eyes, breathe deeply, and step forward. The season you're walking into carries answers for prayers you've almost forgotten you prayed. The vision will not delay. The gate is open, and heaven is watching, not to judge, but to celebrate. Because every time you choose light, every time you give love, every time you move forward in faith, heaven rejoices. You're not just entering a new year, you're entering a new era of divine alignment. Welcome to your appointed time. Chosen one, the gate has opened. Walk through it. You are not alone in your awakening. Across the earth, souls like yours are stirring quietly, powerfully, unmistakably. The ones who have walked through fire, who have faced rejection, who have endured nights of silence, are beginning to rise with the same light in their eyes. It is as though heaven has whispered into every hidden place. It is time. You might not see them, but they are there. In every city, every nation, every corner of this spinning world, ordinary people carrying extraordinary grace. They, like you, have been refined by storms. Their scars shimmer with the same divine pattern. Each of them carries a fragment of the same flame. Together, you form the gathering of the marked ones. You were never meant to walk this road in isolation. While your journey has been deeply personal, your calling is collective. Heaven doesn't raise one chosen one, it raises a generation. You are part of a divine network stitched together by spirit, not geography. You may never meet them face to face, but your hearts already recognize one another in the unseen. There is a reason your spirit has felt a strange pull lately, a stirring, a sense of something coming together. The kingdom is aligning its soldiers. Those who have been scattered in seasons of pain are being drawn back into formation. What once felt like loneliness is transforming into sacred connection. You are about to realize that you were never isolated, you were incubated. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you are part of that treasured possession, a company of hearts consecrated by obedience. Heaven marks its own, not with titles or status, but with endurance and purity. The marked ones are those who stayed faithful when everything inside them wanted to stop. They are those who love without needing to be loved back. They are the carriers of quiet fire. When you begin to meet them, whether through words, through timing, through the magnetic pull of purpose, you'll know them by their peace. There is a calm around them that feels familiar, a steady faith that mirrors your own. They've been through similar storms, and they bear the same unseen crowns. When your paths cross, your spirit will whisper, "Ah, you too were kept." This gathering is not loud or public. It is subtle, like stars forming constellations one by one, each light finding its rightful place, each soul aligning into divine pattern. Together, you create a map of guidance for those still lost in the dark. The marked ones are not defined by perfection, but by surrender. They don't boast of their strength, they marvel at God's mercy. They are humble warriors, trained in silence, sent to bring clarity to chaos. They will appear in boardrooms and classrooms, in churches and streets, in families and forgotten places. Wherever darkness lingers, one of them will stand quietly glowing, gently shifting atmospheres. And you, chosen one, are among them. Your endurance qualified you for this fellowship. You carry the frequency of the remnant, the ones who refused to give up when faith seemed foolish. You've been through enough to speak with authority, and you've seen enough to love without condition. That is the mark upon you. It's not a visible sign, but it's unmistakable. Heaven recognizes it. Darkness fears it. The mark is peace in chaos, compassion in pain, and conviction in confusion. When you walk into a room, the spiritual temperature changes not because you demand it, but because you carry alignment. This gathering of the marked ones is heaven's quiet revolution. It doesn't shout, it shifts. It doesn't demand attention, it draws it. The world will not understand what moves through you, but it will feel it. This movement is not about fame or numbers, it's about restoration. Each marked one becomes a bridge between heaven and earth, a living reminder that love still conquers. You have felt this call before, even if you couldn't name it. The restlessness, the sense that you were born for more, the inner knowing that your existence carries weight beyond what's visible, all of it was preparation for this convergence. Heaven is gathering its remnant, and you are part of the design. In days to come, your spirit will be drawn toward others carrying the same signature. You'll sense them, hear them, sometimes recognize them instantly. You will find that what unites you is not background or belief, but endurance and love. And when you gather, even if only in spirit, the earth itself will respond. Peace will settle, hope will rise, and divine movement will begin. You are not just one solitary flame, you are part of a constellation. Heaven has arranged you among others to illuminate this generation. Each of you burns with purpose. Each of you bears light that cannot be contained. Together you form a chorus of faith that will echo across time. So lift your eyes and look again. You are not alone in the field. You are surrounded by others carrying the same glow. The marked ones are awakening, and you are one of them. Every pain has a message. Every trial hides a treasure. For so long, you looked at your struggles as punishment, but heaven always saw them as prophecy. The things that wounded you most deeply were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to reveal what was hidden inside you. Every heartbreak, every delay, every betrayal carried a coded message from God. There is something divine in this pain. You see, chosen one. Pain is a translator. It speaks the language of destiny long before we understand it. While others saw your tears, heaven saw your transformation. The things that hurt you were actually shaping you for purpose. You've been walking through divine training disguised as disappointment. There were times when you prayed for release and instead received resistance. Times when you asked for answers and got silence. Times when you begged for peace and met pressure instead. You thought heaven wasn't responding, but heaven was building you. Your capacity was being expanded to carry the calling that is about to unfold. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, 2nd book, chapter 12, verse 9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. It was in your weakest moments that divine power began to bloom. You thought you were breaking, but you were being rebuilt. You thought you were losing strength, but God was teaching you that His grace is stronger than your striving. Every time you whispered, "I can," heaven answered. You don't have to, I can. Now, as this season turns, the purpose inside your pain begins to speak. You will see that nothing was random. The betrayal taught you discernment. The heartbreak taught you compassion. The loss taught you gratitude. The silence taught you to hear God's whisper. Every wound has become a doorway to wisdom. You carry now what can only be gained through suffering spiritual authority. There's a weight in your words, a gentleness in your strength, a knowing in your eyes. Others feel peace when you speak because they can sense that your comfort wasn't borrowed. It was born. Chosen one. Your story is a prophecy for others. What you endured in private will become public healing. You were entrusted with pain so you could become a carrier of empathy. You will walk into rooms and recognize wounds before they are spoken. You will speak words that mend hearts you've never met before. You've become the vessel heaven uses to deliver comfort to the broken. Do you understand now why the battle was so fierce? The enemy saw your potential before you did. He knew that if you ever realized what your pain meant, you would become unstoppable. That's why it felt like the warfare never ended. It was never about breaking you, but about silencing you. But you refused to stay silent, and that defiance became your anointing. Every scar on your soul is now a seal of authority. You've earned your wisdom through weeping, your peace through pain, your strength through surrender. You carry a prophetic mantle that others will recognize without words. You have become the living fulfillment of the scripture you once clung to in desperation. And now, heaven calls you to declare it. If this message stirs something in your spirit, if you feel the truth resonating inside you, take a simple prophetic step and comment 505. That number carries the sound of grace multiplied. 3 5s, grace upon grace upon grace. You're declaring that the same grace that carried you will now crown you. That your pain has not only ended, but transformed into purpose. When you type those digits, it's not ritual, it's revelation. You are saying, I have seen the hand of God in my suffering, and I am ready to walk in the purpose it produced. Each 555 becomes a banner of victory, a testimony in digital form, a sign that another soul has turned pain into prophecy. You are aligning yourself with others who have walked through fire and emerged refined. You are marking this moment as your turning point, the place where grief ends and grace begins. Heaven honors these small acts of faith. Angels read them like declarations, gathering them as testimonies before the throne. When you write 555, it becomes a seed sown into your next season, a reminder to yourself and to heaven that you understand now, that it was all for something, that the breaking made way for birthing. The prophetic gift hidden in your pain is now emerging. You don't just carry a story, you carry revelation. You see differently, speak differently, love differently, because you know what it costs to heal. And from this day forward, that understanding will guide your steps. You will no longer resent the fire, you will bless it. You will no longer hide your scars. You will use them as maps for others who are lost. So breathe deeply. Chosen one. The time of questioning is ending. The purpose of your pain has come to light. Every valley you crossed has become a verse in your testimony. Every tear has turned to oil. Every weakness has been woven into strength. The grace that once carried you will now flow through you. You are not defined by what hurt you. You are defined by what heaven built from it. Heaven remembers names, not just the ones written in history books or spoken from platforms, but the quiet ones whispered in tears. The names prayed over by trembling voices in hidden rooms. Your name, chosen one, has been among those that heaven repeats with tenderness. It has echoed in the courts of eternity, carried by angels who remember the prayers you thought were forgotten. You might not realize how sacred your name is. It isn't just a label, it's a declaration of purpose. Before you ever took your first breath, heaven spoke your name into the air and assigned it a meaning. That meaning has followed you through every season, every shadow, every valley. Your life has been the unfolding of that word spoken before time began. There were moments when you doubted if your name mattered at all. You watched others gain recognition while you remained unseen. You thought maybe you were just another soul passing quietly through the noise of existence. But in the records of heaven, your name glows with light. It is written not in ink but in flame unchangeable, eternal, alive, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 5, the one who is victorious will be dressed in white. I will never blot out the name of that person from the book of life, but will acknowledge that name before my Father and his angels. That is your promise. Your endurance has written your name among the victors. Heaven does not forget faithfulness. God himself has recorded every act of courage you performed when fear was stronger than reason. He has etched every moment of obedience when you chose integrity over convenience. These are the chapters of your eternal story, the proof that your faith was real. You may not see the full weight of your legacy yet, but heaven does. Your name is not just preserved, it is spoken with reverence. When angels speak it, it carries the sound of resilience. When heaven declares it, it carries authority. Your name has become a melody of endurance, a song of someone who refused to break. Think about that. The same mouth that spoke galaxies into being has spoken your name with love. The same hands that formed mountains have written your story with care. You are not a random creation. You are intentional design. And every time your name is mentioned in heaven, it stirs joy in the heart of God. In the realm of eternity, your name tells a story even before you speak. It carries fragrance, the scent of obedience, the perfume of perseverance. Those who have gone before you, those who endured the race of faith, recognize that fragrance. You are part of their lineage. You walk among the company of the faithful, those whose names were once whispered on earth and now resound in heaven's halls. Every time you resisted bitterness, every time you forgave instead of retaliating, your name glowed brighter. Every act of unseen kindness became a stroke of light across the letters of your identity. You have not just lived, you have left light in your wake. And here is a mystery. Your name is not only written above, it is being rewritten within. Every transformation, every revelation, every step of surrender is adding depth to the meaning of who you are. Heaven's story about you is not finished. It is still unfolding. The ink of grace has not dried. One day, you will hear your name spoken again, but not by people. It will be pronounced by the voice of the one who gave it, the sound of perfect love calling you home. And when you hear it, you will recognize it immediately, because it will sound like peace. It will carry every answered prayer, every healed wound, every redeemed memory. It will sound like completion. Until that day, live knowing that your name is safe. Not in the mouths of others, not in the shifting opinions of the world, but in the eternal book that cannot be edited by human hands. You don't have to prove your worth. It's already been written. You don't have to shout to be known. Heaven already speaks your name daily. Your life, your endurance, your faith, they've all added color to heaven's tapestry. You are one thread in a divine design, but without your thread, the pattern would be incomplete. You may not see the full picture yet, but when it is revealed, Your name will be found right in the center, shining with quiet glory. So walk with confidence. The author of eternity knows you by name, loves you by name, calls you by name. When the world forgets, heaven remembers, and that remembrance is eternal. Your name is written where time cannot erase it, spoken where darkness cannot silence it, cherished where love never fades. You are known, you are recorded, you are remembered. There are stories written on your skin that only heaven can read. Each scar, each mark, each place where pain once lived has become a testimony inked in light. What once represented weakness now radiates wisdom. The scars you carry are not evidence of defeat. They are the symbols of resurrection. They tell the story of a soul that met darkness, wrestled with it, and still chose light. You may have tried to hide those scars once, thinking they made you less. But in the eyes of heaven, they make you more. They are proof that grace works. Proof that you were wounded and still walking, broken and still believing. Each line upon your heart tells a story of divine endurance. Where you once bled, now you bloom. Where you once wept, now you shine. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verse 27, "Then he said to Thomas, 'Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe.' Even the Son of God did not hide his scars. He offered them as proof of love, not shame. His wounds became invitations to believe, and so do yours. When others see your scars, they encounter the same truth. Pain does not have the final word. Healing does. Your story becomes a living sermon that resurrection is real, that broken things can shine brighter than before. Your scars, chosen one, are signals. They shine like lighthouses in the storm, guiding others who are still lost at sea. Somewhere, someone who feels hopeless will recognize their own pain in yours and find courage to keep going. You are not just surviving for yourself, you are signaling to others that survival is possible. That's how heaven uses the healed, by turning their pain into pathways. Your scars become maps for those who are still wandering. The things you thought disqualified you have become your greatest credentials in the kingdom. You speak not from theory, but from testimony. You know what it feels like to be crushed and restored. You've lived the miracle you now carry. Sometimes you will meet someone who reminds you of your past pain. You'll see the same look of quiet desperation in their eyes that you once carried. In that moment, your spirit will remember and you'll feel compassion rise like a tide. That's the Spirit of God moving through your scars, using what once hurt you to heal another. Do not wish away what you've endured. It's the very thing that makes your light believable. People trust those who have been through the fire and still speak peace. You are not just telling them about God's mercy, you are showing it. The mercy that found you in the ashes still glows on your skin. When you touch your scars now, do not feel sorrow, feel strength. They are evidence that your pain did not win, that what tried to destroy you failed, that love resurrected where logic said it couldn't. You carry on your body and in your soul the proof that grace is real. That's why heaven treasures your story so much it carries the fingerprints of God. In time, you'll realize that your scars are more beautiful than your unbrokenness ever was. The light of redemption reflects best through the cracks, like stained glass. Your broken places allow color and brilliance to pass through. The very fragments that once felt shattered now form a masterpiece that only heaven could design. The world values perfection. God values transformation. He does not erase your scars. He anoints them. He turns them into holy reminders of where love triumphed. Every healed wound on your soul whispers the same truth: I survived, and God was faithful. So do not hide them anymore. Wear them as your testimony. Speak of them when the Spirit nudges you to. Show others that pain and promise can coexist. You are a living scripture written not in ink but in endurance. Every scar is a verse declaring that death was defeated in your life. The next time you look at yourself and see traces of what was broken, remember heaven sees the restoration, not the ruin. You are no longer the one who bled. You are the one who healed. You are no longer the victim. You are the vessel. The enemy tried to make your scars a source of shame, but God has made them your signal, a light that cannot be silenced. And one day, when you stand in eternity's light, every scar will gleam like gold. You'll see them as trophies of grace, as evidence that you walked through the valley and made it home. They will not remind you of pain, but of purpose. They will not tell of what broke you, but of what built you. So hold your head high. Chosen one, the story written on your skin is sacred. Your scars are no longer signs of suffering. They are signals to the world that resurrection lives in you. There is a table being set in the unseen, a banquet prepared for the unshaken. The ones who stood when others fled. The ones who kept believing when the world mocked faith. The ones who held on quietly, faithfully, steadfastly. That table bears your name, chosen one. The fragrance of victory already fills the air around it. The celebration of endurance is near. You may not see it yet, but heaven has been arranging this feast in your honor. The plates are not of silver, but of purpose. The cups are filled with joy, not wine. Around that table sit others like you, the survivors, the believers, the ones refined by fire but still radiant with love. Together, your laughter becomes heaven's music. The table itself gleams like sunrise after a long night, carved from the wood of endurance, polished by grace. Every seat represents a story, every plate a promise fulfilled. Angels move silently among the guests, their wings stirring the air with peace. This feast is more than celebration, it's restoration made visible. And above it all, the light of heaven shines gently, wrapping each soul in warmth. You can feel the presence of those who prayed for you, who believed in you when you could not believe in yourself. The table stretches endlessly, for there is always room for one more who endured with faith and love. We find in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. That's the promise now being fulfilled in your life. The anointing oil that once seemed scarce will begin to flow again. The cup that once felt empty will overflow with peace, purpose, and abundance. You are stepping into a season where heaven publicly honors what you endured privately. You have walked through deserts. Now you approach the garden. You have known lack. Now you taste abundance. But this abundance is not just material, it is emotional, spiritual, eternal. It's the joy of knowing you didn't lose yourself in the battle. It's the quiet satisfaction of having remained faithful when it would have been easier to walk away. Think of your life like a long winter giving way to spring. The snow that once silenced the earth begins to melt, and from beneath it, green shoots of promise break through. That's you now, the frozen ground of endurance finally giving birth to new life. The seeds you planted in tears are rising, and they are radiant. This celebration isn't about arrogance, it's about gratitude. The unshaken don't boast, they bless. You will not gloat over those who doubted you. You will thank the one who sustained you. That's the power of holy victory. It's humble, not loud. It's steady, not shallow. It's full, not fleeting. And as you sit at that divine table, heaven will remind you this is what endurance builds. Not thrones made of ego, but altars made of gratitude. Not fleeting applause, but eternal acknowledgement. You are part of a lineage of warriors whose reward is not just in heaven, but begins even now in peace, in clarity, in love that endures forever. As you listen to these words, perhaps your spirit feels that quiet swell of hope again. That's not emotion, it's recognition. You are sensing the vibration of fulfillment. The same hands that caught your tears are now pouring wine into your cup. The same eyes that watched you weep now watch you rise. Heaven has not forgotten your faithfulness, and this moment is proof. And if this message stirs something deep within, if it touches the quiet part of you that knows it was meant to reach here, then let me speak to your heart, sincerely, gently. If this word has been water for your spirit, help it flow further. When you like, share, or subscribe, you are not just engaging, you are extending light. You're handing a cup of living water to someone who still thirsts. Maybe there's someone right now, scrolling through their midnight and thinking they can't go on. Your one act could bring this message to their feed at the exact divine moment they need it. You might not know them, but heaven will know you were the vessel. And if you feel led to sow a donation, a gift, however small or simple, know that it becomes part of this banquet. Every seed given into a message of light becomes another candle on the table. It allows the feast to grow, the light to stretch further into places where hope has dimmed. Think of it like tending a garden. You're watering the soil that has fed you, ensuring that others will also taste its fruit. Generosity, in its purest form, is the echo of gratitude. When you give from thankfulness, heaven multiplies what you have left. The more love you release, the richer your field becomes. Leave a comment as well, a thought, a reflection, a simple "I'm grateful." Words have power, and your testimony may be the key that unlocks someone else's healing. This table was never meant to be eaten at alone. It's a feast that grows with every heart that joins in. You see, the celebration of the unshaken is not about one person rising. It's about many souls realizing they made it. You've endured storms, yes, but now you'll dance in the sunlight of restoration. You'll breathe easier. You'll love deeper. You'll find laughter again, not forced, but full. This is your banquet of becoming. The crown of endurance sits lightly on your head, not because you earned it through strength, but because you trusted through struggle. You are not just invited to the table, you are part of it. Your story is the feast. Your faith is the fragrance. Your endurance is the melody that fills the air. So as this moment settles in your spirit, take it as a promise you will eat from the table that was once only a dream. You will drink from the cup that once seemed empty. And you will know, beyond all doubt, that every step, every tear, every test was worth it. There is movement in heaven when a soul refuses to surrender. Every time you chose to stand, though no one saw it, something shifted in the unseen. The air changed. The balance of eternity tilted slightly toward light. Your endurance did not just keep you alive, it summoned divine response. This is that moment, chosen one, when heaven answers. There are angels assigned to justice, angels who move not with noise but with certainty. They carry scrolls written with the record of endurance, and your name is among them. For every loss that went unrewarded, for every injustice that went unanswered, for every kindness that seemed forgotten, heaven is moving now. You may not see it yet, but recompense is already in motion. There are doors opening that were once sealed, conversations taking place in rooms you've never entered, opportunities aligning that your effort alone could never have arranged. Divine justice is not about revenge, it is about restoration. What was taken will return multiplied, purified by time and grace. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 41. And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of abundance of rain." That sound echoes again now. You can sense it even before it arrives, the shift in atmosphere, the vibration of fulfillment, the quiet hum of heaven preparing the release. The drought you've known in spirit is about to break. What once was barren will now bloom. The clouds that once concealed your hope are heavy with promise. This rain will not come in drops, it will come in waves, not to drown, but to cleanse. The storms that once terrified you will now nourish you. Every area that has felt dry emotionally, spiritually, even relationally will feel the touch of restoration. Where you once begged for small mercies, heaven is sending overflow. God has not forgotten the debts owed to your soul, the apologies that never came, the recognition you never received, the kindnesses that were never returned. Heaven has accounted for all of it. But divine justice looks different from human justice. It does not merely repay, it redeems. It gives you something greater than what you lost: peace. Peace is heaven's highest form of repayment. It quiets the ache of the past and fills the empty spaces where bitterness once tried to grow. It allows you to walk through familiar places without feeling the sting of old wounds. That is the gift being delivered to you now. You are not just being restored, you are being redefined. Chosen one, the angels are moving in precision, not haste. Justice is deliberate because it must be perfect. Every return is timed. Every restoration is tailored. When the blessing comes, it will fit your life as if it had always been meant for you, because it was. There is a law written in the unseen: what was sown in faith will never die. The seeds of kindness you planted, even when others mocked you for it, are now sprouting in places you cannot yet see. One day soon, you will walk into blessings that feel familiar but forgotten, and you will realize they were the harvest of prayers you stopped praying years ago. Heaven's justice is precise, like rainfall on a single leaf. It finds every place that has thirsted for fairness and fills it completely. You won't have to chase what's yours. It will locate you. What belongs to you by divine decree cannot be stolen, delayed, or diverted forever. Every good thing with your name on it will find its way home. And while heaven restores what was lost, something even deeper is happening. You are being transformed into the kind of person who no longer needs revenge. That is divine victory, peace that no enemy can disrupt. When justice arrives, it won't just change your circumstances, it will heal your perspective. You will look at the past not with pain, but with understanding. There will come a moment when you realize that nothing was wasted. Every injustice became a chapter in the book of redemption. Every loss became an opening for divine generosity. You will see how every no from man became a yes from God, how every delay became protection, and how every rejection carved the path to alignment. This is heaven's response to a standing soul: not thunder, not vengeance, but balance restored. The same hands that once carried your burdens now carry your blessings. The same voice that said, "Be still," now whispers, "It is finished." Soon, the evidence will appear in quiet ways: a sudden peace where chaos used to live, a phone call that changes everything, a door that opens effortlessly. You'll know it when it happens, because you won't feel anxiety about it. It will come with ease, and you'll understand that it was heaven, not hustle. So let your heart rest. Justice is on its way, and grace is already here. The wind is shifting, the rain is forming, and heaven's answer is unfolding in perfect time. You are not forgotten, not forsaken, not delayed, you are divinely timed. And now, at last, the long night begins to soften. The horizon, once gray with silence, starts to blush with light. The season of breaking has become the season of becoming. This Christmas, chosen one, you rise not in noise or haste, but in quiet certainty. You rise not because everything is perfect, but because you are finally whole. The weight that once bent your shoulders no longer has power. You have learned how to walk with grace even while carrying what others could not. The lessons carved into your spirit have become your armor. You move differently now, slower, more intentional, aware of the holy rhythm guiding your every step. Heaven's whisper is no longer distant, it breathes with you. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Still shine with power, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That light is you, yes, you, the one who thought the fire had gone out, the one who stood trembling on the edge of giving up, the one who prayed when no one heard. You are the fulfillment of that promise. The glory that rises upon you is not borrowed, it is born. It comes from the depth of what you've survived. You are stepping into a radiance that does not depend on circumstance. It is the glow of resilience, the soft brilliance of a soul at peace. Others will notice the change without knowing the cost. They will see calm in your eyes and not realize it was forged through storms. They will feel warmth in your presence without understanding the winters you endured to carry it. This rising is not sudden, it is steady. Like dawn breaking after the longest night, light unfurls slowly across the landscape of your soul. Each moment, another shadow lifts. Each breath, another layer of heaviness falls away. You are no longer the same person who entered the valley. You are the one who walked through it and found God there. The restoration taking place now is gentle. Heaven does not rush the healing it treasures. Every piece of you that was once scattered is finding its place again. The broken edges have become mosaics of mercy. The heart that once beat in fragments now pulses with purpose. The silence that once haunted you has become the chamber of revelation. You will notice how easily joy finds you now, like sunlight spilling through open curtains. You won't have to chase it. It will rest upon you naturally. Peace will no longer feel like a visitor. It will take up residence. Where once there was anxiety, there will be assurance. Where once there was fear, there will be faith. And when you look back, you will not see a trail of pain, you will see a tapestry. Every thread, every tear, every pause will make sense. You'll understand that the waiting was not wasted, it was weaving. You were being tailored for this moment of rising, fitted perfectly for your purpose. You'll begin to recognize the divine fingerprints on everything, the detours that became deliverance, the endings that made room for beginnings, the heartbreaks that taught you how to love without fear. Every loss will reveal itself as an exchange, every ache as an awakening. The people who once misunderstood you will see glimpses of what heaven saw all along. Not because you'll prove yourself, but because light needs no defense. It simply shines. You won't have to explain your transformation. It will speak for itself. Peace is the loudest testimony. And as you rise, remember you are not rising alone. Every prayer you ever prayed has pulled others upward with you. Every act of forgiveness has loosened someone else's chains. Every tear you shed watered a seed that will bloom in someone else's garden. Your rising is communal. It's the ripple effect of grace. The heavens rejoice quietly as you take your place. Angels, who once stood guard in your wilderness, now watch you walk into fulfillment. They do not sing loudly, this time they bow, smiling because they know the cost of this glory. They have seen the nights you whispered prayers that felt unanswered, the moments when your faith flickered but did not die. Now, as the light grows stronger around you, feel the warmth of divine recognition. You are no longer waiting for rescue. You are living in redemption. The wounds that once bled now glow. The chains that once bound you have become reminders of freedom. You rise not as a survivor, but as a sign, a living prophecy that darkness cannot win. This Christmas, heaven does not give you new gifts. It reveals what was already within you. Strength, serenity, sacredness. The things the world cannot give and cannot take away. You have become what heaven dreamed, a vessel of light in human form. So step forward, chosen one, not toward something new, but toward who you've always been. The world needs what you carry now, the steady flame of endurance, the calm assurance of one who has seen the valley and still believes in morning. Rise, not to be seen, but to shine. The dawn is not coming, it is here, and it wears your name. Chosen one, you've walked with me through every word, every valley, every revelation. From the silence of your suffering to the radiance of your rising, your journey has unfolded like sacred poetry. Now, as this message comes to rest, heaven exhales in gratitude for your endurance. You have heard what you were meant to hear. You are seen, chosen, and crowned. But this story isn't meant to end here. Every light carries a duty to shine for others still standing in the dark. If these words have found your soul, let them travel farther. Like, share, or subscribe so that this flame can reach another weary heart. Your one simple act can become someone else's miracle, a lifeline at the exact moment they need it. And when you comment, write something from the depth of your heart, perhaps a short prayer, a word of gratitude, or a single sentence of faith. Your words carry healing. Your testimony becomes someone else's hope. This isn't just engagement, it's a ministry of light spreading through pixels, through time, through every soul who reads. You are now part of a divine ripple, a growing constellation of endurance and grace. Each like is a spark, each share a torch passed forward, each comment a seed of courage sown into eternity. The same way heaven paused for you, your action can help heaven reach another. So before you leave, breathe a prayer of thanks. Lift your eyes toward the unseen and let this truth settle. Your story matters. You are proof that light wins. Keep walking in that radiance. Keep living as heaven's reminder that love never fails. Your journey continues glorious, holy, unshakable.